put it out there, but the others all through, and they just have to come.
Good morning. Welcome. Happy Halloween. Yes. And I think we have one, well, maybe 2 days late, but one birthday there too, a couple days ago. Happy birthday, Mike.
Thank you. All right.
Okay. Anyway, those are my remarks. Minutes from the last September 26th.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Dr. Jarvis, I know you're a Scorpio. I said, you didn't know that.
Somebody else has a birthday? No?
Everyone has a birthday at some point, so happy
We do,
birthday.
yeah, we do.
Motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Carried. Treasurer's report.
Good morning. We did have a audit and finance committee meeting at the end of the quarter. When we looked at the balance sheet, it does show that we're down on bank accounts because you'll recall we used $175,000 of funds from the county to put the deposit down on the 11 Warren Street property, and when that closes, we will get that money back into our account. We are up other assets, $635,000, primarily additional loan funds, both from the SBA account that we drew down, and also the 2 loans that we did with the Office of Community Services, which is on Plank Hill Farm and on the Return Brewery across the street. Those are grants that they are booked as loans, and you'll see a corresponding liability entry. So it does raise the balance sheet, but it's just in and out. The county is the applicant for those grants. They're awarded to the county. The county subcontracts with CEDC, and we subcontract with the ultimate developer. As you know, the Plank Hill Farm was a $250,000 project where they built new farm worker housing, and the brewery is across the street. They're all job related. You get $15,000 per job as part of the grant. If you don't create the jobs, you don't get the full amount. So it is, if we hadn't had those, it would not have raised the assets to the extent that you see. We also did pick up the land from on Route 9H, but you'll recall we had county directed funds on account, so we moved money from bank accounts to buy that land a year ago. The county hasn't given us any indication as to what their plan is for it. And the other asset was the accounting standards are required that we value the leased assets that we have, and there's a $280,000 right of use asset, but there's a corresponding liability to that as well. On the liabilities, we do have a large deferred revenue, and that is because of the way we booked the funds from the county for Columbia Forward, for the Columbia Forward grant program, and how when they advanced us the $175,000 for to use for the 11 Warren Street project. It was basically they were advancing us the fourth quarter of our $460,000 annual service contract, and so as of September 30th, that was an accrual. And then we do have a drop of $65,000 in our equity, and we did get an increase in capital assets as the result of the land, and the unrestricted net position has dropped. But again, once we book in the fourth quarter the $175,000 each month from the county, will be back there as well. And the deferred revenue was because the county started the contract for Columbia Forward started at July 1, but last year, but they gave us funding for the full year. So we didn't want to be in a situation where if at the end of We really didn't do any work for it, for the first, 2 months of the year. Any questions on the balance sheet? Good morning. On the P&L, we've had $843,000 of income, budgeted $866, so we're $23,000 off. 23,000 of that is in administrative revenue. And administrative revenue includes funds that we would receive from the Hudson IDA. And again, in earlier this month, the Galvin housing project closed, and so we're awaiting a $10,000 fee there. And we had anticipated one other Hudson IDA project closing, and we're not at a point yet where we know whether that's going to happen this year. Our grant income was down slightly, our membership slightly, and other income was the Hope Chest that we budget $10,000 a year for, and we're still waiting to fill it. Always hope. Yes, but we're at 97% of our budget. On the expense side, the real standouts are we are down on consulting fees. We're down on by $27,000, about $8,000 on employee expense, and that the bulk of that was the fact that the county provided us with a paid intern this summer instead of us having to hire one ourselves, pay for one ourselves. And we're down on new initiatives, but we're up $9,000 on professional fees, and that you'll recall is because the single audit had not been budgeted for, because until we got through the end of the year, we weren't, last year, we weren't sure that we were going to have to do a single audit. And even though it was the audit for 2022, it was paid in 2023. So we're down $69,000. We had budgeted to be down $14,000. So we are, $46,000 swing when we show that we're $32,000 in net operating revenue, and you add back the $23,000 negative on the revenue. So, I think budgeting has been pretty good. We did approve the budget last month so that we could get it into the state in time. No, we're going to do that today. Okay. All right. I was thinking, I know we did it for the IDAs. So any questions on the, if you do skip a page and go to the budget, what we did for the committee was we looked at actual, then we looked at the 23 budget, then we looked at actual for 22, we looked at the 23 budget, then we looked at the 23 projected, which is the 9 months to date and 3 months estimated. And it looks like our budget showed total income this year of $1,164,000, and it looks like we're going to be at $1,131,000. We did budget for $1,155,000 for next year in income. In the various categories, we adjusted the administrative revenue down by $6,000. We increased the funding from the county based on the contractual obligations that are already in place by an additional $12,000. We will not have any of the EIDL grant and grant income that you see from previous years. The EIDL income was the government paid us for the interest on the amount of what we requested under EIDL, which is the employee retention credit. The EIDL is the loan that we took, and because they gave us a $4,000. Remember when COVID first started, you could get $10,000 grant per employee, and they only had given us a portion of that. And so when they reconciled it and small businesses pointed out that they had been not received the full amount. Congress directed the SBA to give people what they would have gotten had they been fully paid. So that was not. And the other grant income is, Martha, you always have to help me.
Angelo.
Angelo. And that is a loan in our mind, but it had to be booked as a grant as the way it came down. And at one point, that project was in default and significantly at risk. And Martha worked through that with them. And as you can see, the good news is the revenue that we get from that loan will not be, we won't get next year because it'll be paid off. That's the good news. The bad news is that the loan will be paid off. We won't get the revenue. Bank interest is jumped considerably. We have, when interest rates were 0.001, no one was getting interest on their deposits. We're now getting 2% across the board on our deposit accounts, and we did buy a $400,000 CD at 5% for 11 months. 13. So we're back making money there. We are looking at jumping our loan interest income from 82,000 budgeted or projected this year to 100. Not only do we have $750,000 or we have $500,000 of the $750 of USBA money available. And second, the board had approved or will approve today raising the interest rates. You'll remember during COVID, we were doing 3.575%. And that's going to move up if it hasn't already. Membership, we are projecting for next year 50,000. Riley has been working with me and Jessica before Jessica left on a membership campaign, and we are going to get that out by the end of next week so that people can have 6 weeks to decide what they want to do with respect to membership. And we're basing it on the fact that in 2022, we did have $49,000 in membership. So we have in previous years, budgeted 60, 75, and that's kind of a reach. But I think we have done the traditional pyramid fundraising tool where, 6 at 2,500, 10 at 1,500, and the like. So I think that will be manageable. Other income, or other is that treasure chest I talk about. We did budget for SBA grant funding approximately equal to what we are getting this year, and so that's our total income. On the expense side, it increased we did increase the consulting income over what we have this year projected, because remember we were $30,000 below budget last year or this year. On direct program expenses, that's the annual meeting, that's the same. The employee expense, it's approximately the same. It's about $40,000 more, and we didn't know how to budget because we don't know what level of staff person we're going to get to replace Jessica. So that could be at the project manager salary level, or it could be at the vice president level. And we do have a number of candidates, and we're optimistic that we'll get some more before we get into the decision-making process of hiring someone. Our rent goes up 3%. We will ask you later today to consider authorizing me to trigger the 5-year option. We have 6 months before September of next year to trigger it, but I think we just want to tell Nancy that I would recommend that we stay here, because no one likes to move, B, it's functional, and C, we had received a pretty good price at the beginning, and it's, and the pricing doesn't get renegotiated as part of the option. It just continues to increase it at 3%. On, the other expenses, we don't anticipate having, on the Columbia grant expense, we showed 14,000, 17,000, 11,000. Because that is in deferred income, and to the extent that we draw that from deferred income into revenue, because we paid out a county grant, it's a wash. So there is some money available for that, but I didn't know, how many grants we would do versus how many, but it wouldn't affect the income statement. We have a modest increase for our liability and directors and officers and property insurance. On the micro business side, we are projecting 57,000. I went back to 65. That's the work that where Martha and Steve retain outside consultants to assist us. I think when you look at, we try to spend 25 to 30% of this SBA grant on that third-party outside support. New initiatives is in the same range as we are proposing this year. And we do have a much better handle, I think, on our office expenses in terms of, the computer expense. It does include the dues and subscriptions to various regional and local organizations that we support. And our professional fees are in line with last year, as is our public relations and marketing. So, we are proposing about a $70,000 increase from what we're projecting. But it's only $4,000 more than we budgeted last year for expenses. Are there any questions on the budget? Pretty conservative, pretty baseline, but and obviously our biggest expense is staffing. If not, Mr. Chairman, I'd ask for a motion to approve the 2024 budget. So
Just a question, Mike, sorry,
Yeah.
just one question on the allowance for loan losses. You have no bad debt expense going through your income statement this year, but you have like a $300,000 reserve.
we have
With the way the market's changing a little bit, everybody still feels comfortable with that reserve.
we have the reserve, I think, is at 240,000, and that's the book reserve. On the SBA side, we have cash reserve of 15%. And as you know, if we did write off a $3,500 loan this year, that gets booked against the balance sheet reserve, so it doesn't affect the income statement. But what we usually do is at the end of the year, if we have a $75,000 positive net income, we'll probably take $50,000 and put it in the reserve. We're well over, we're almost 20% reserved on that, because remember, all the money isn't out on the street. But I think there's 2 points that are important that you're raising. One is, as we put more money on the street, in an environment where there's a greater risk of default because of the economy, what is the appropriate percentage for the loan loss reserve on the books? In 2015, we took a $400,000 hit on various projects that didn't go forward. One was the hotel out in Greenport, and we used that year as an opportunity to clean up those, because if you're gonna have a $100,000 loss, you might as well have a $200,000 loss, because it was paper. I mean, but the other thing is, when we lose money in the CEDC loan fund, it's gone. When you lose money in the SBA fund, as long as it's not more than 15% across the board, you can cover it. And so Steve and I have been working on a little project as it relates to the CEDC loan fund, How much, based on its current size, how much do we, with a 15% default rate, which we've never had, how much do we lend each year where it can stay evergreen on a 7-year return? And because we do have an issue where, because I bought the CD, I should have bought a $350,000 CD, not a $400,000 CD. We're at a point now where we can really only do $50,000 of new CEDC loans a month until April when the 400 is released. But you know, that's a pace that's consistent with our normal flow. But you know, again, we can get 7.5% on our loans now, and we're only getting 4 to 5 on a CD. But at the time, we did it that way. So, you know, I do think that we have not seen significant increase yet in you know, we have a handful of people who are struggling. But I do think when we look at that loan loss reserve at the end of the year, the accountants are always telling me you can't put as much as we want into it because of optics and best practices, but we try to keep it pretty full.
We have a motion, we need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? It's carried. Thanks, Mike. Under committees, audit and finance, Matt, do you want to take it?
Sure, we went over the treasurer's report and the portfolio report. We had a good discussion about the projected 2024 budget. That's
Okay.
short and sweet.
We also discussed that I had met with UHY.
Yeah.
And they've given us a commitment on a cap on our fee. And I think we have, the committee's recommendation was to proceed when we get their engagement letter to recommend it to the board. We don't need to take action today because we don't, as long as the terms that they've discussed with us go in the engagement letter, we should be fine.
Yeah, we discussed it, they seem like really fair terms. So, and you've already worked with them so many times, they're familiar. They wouldn't have to tear apart everything to start.
Right.
But they are going to rotate the manager for best practices within the firm, so that, and also because Matt Vanderbeck keeps getting promoted, he's, you know, he'll oversee the account, but the staff that, Nicole Overbaugh, who's worked on it, she's been on it for 5 to 7 years. So there will be a new manager on the account.
Do we need to do the Paris report? Lisa, we need to do the Paris. Oh, I thought,
That's all we need.
oh, okay. The executive committee did not meet, governance nominating didn't meet, but Sarah, do you have anything? We didn't meet, do you have anything?
We're meeting on the 7th.
Good, okay. Loan committee did meet, and we have quite an agenda here, so, Rachel's not here, but Martha.
Shall we start with the dashboard, the portfolio dashboard, which is in your packets? Loan client A continues to make monthly payments, but they have not brought the account current. Loan client B paid off one of their loans. They're still making monthly payments on this one. The balance is down to $1,500, so this will drop off next year. Loan client C, I'm going to be asking the board for permission to write off this loan before the end of the year. The balance, outstanding balance is just under $4,000. And loan client D, I'm happy to announce they have brought both accounts current. They've paid the past due amounts, including late fees, after much work and effort and threats on our part, and we're hoping they will remain current. Are there any questions?
That needs approval. Can I get a motion? Second?
Seconded.
All in favor? Carried, thank you. Next is some loans, right?
Right. The first one is MC Wood. Hopefully everyone will see the detailed write-up that we sent out last week. MC Wood LLC is located in Ghent. It's a custom millwork business. They've applied for $50,000 split between the two loan funds. it would be a 72-month term on both loans with a monthly payment of $828. The interest rate is 6%, and the purpose of the loan is working capital and equipment purchases. The collateral is a lien on business assets and the personal guarantee of the principal.
Questions or discussion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Carried. Thank you. Next.
We are at Ray C Court, located in Chatham, a fine art digital printing business. Their request was for $40,000. We have 72-month term on 2 loans, total monthly payment of $662.91, interest rate being 6%. Purpose of the loan, debt refinance, working capital, and equipment purchases. Collateral for the loan, a lien on business assets, a lien on a personal investment account, as well as the personal guarantee of the principal and spouse. At Ray C Court in Chatham.
So there was a lot of discussion on this one at at our meeting. But was approved, right?
Yes, yes, we went back to the borrowers regarding the lien on the investment account. They approved, and as a result, the request was updated.
Okay. Discussion?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
You guys make a face.
Anyone
What do you make
opposed?
a face about?
Is anyone opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Maybe.
Yeah, we need a new category of voting. Perhaps.
Next is Round Place Studio.
This one actually does not require board approval because it's under $25,000, but we did want to let the board know that a $16,000 loan to Round Clay Studio was approved. And we've already established our closing.
Okay.
Rebus is next. And this is one that was approved by the loan committee and the board back in April. The commitment expired. The owner has now located a shop on Warren Street, and so we're coming back for this to be pre-approved. The interest rate is 6%, and the prior rate was at 5%. And otherwise, everything is the same. It's a children's clothing and retail store. The loan request is $50,000 split between the 2 loan funds. The 72-month term, 6% interest, working capital and inventory is the purpose, and the collateral is a lien on business assets and the personal guarantee of the principal.
Discussion? Motion?
Make the motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is anyone opposed? That's also carried.
Thank you. And then finally, we have a change in collateral. This does require board approval. It's an existing client with an excellent payment history. They've asked us to release the lien on their vehicle so that when they identify a new truck, they're in the market for a new truck, they can act quickly. I believe the loan committee agreed that we would wait until the client identified a new vehicle. Then we would provide that letter of satisfaction. When the new vehicle is purchased, we will take title to it, but at that point, we will be in second position. And I've given you the outstanding loan amounts here.
I got a question.
Yep.
I just have a question, Martha. On that, when a new vehicle is acquired for a company, does the CAA, we ask the question, do they have comp inclusion on the new vehicle?
Well, we require that we be named as visual insured on their policy, so we do see the policy.
Right, but
What
if
is
they
it?
only have liability, that'd be a question. Because if they sneak it through and only have liability, then if something happens, an accident, the collision part doesn't cover it.
Okay.
So I would ask the question, they should have comp and collision on the vehicle
We'll make
that will
sure.
be named on.
Thank
Will
you.
be named on the insurance.
And we can make it contingent on that.
Right.
We're gonna-
Yeah, I'll make one.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion is carried.
Yet one other matter, Lisa and Martha and I have been discussing Arrow City. It was a loan that was made, it was more than 10 years ago. And in 2015, there was some payment and there was some write-off. We can't tell from the minutes back in 2015, exactly the magnitude of the write-off. My guess is it was interest, portion of the interest. The company has been sold, but because the company, I guess the new owner went out and when someone did a credit check on the company, it popped up that there had been an outstanding loan with CEDC. They're asking us to acknowledge that what happened in 2015 absolves the parties of any further obligation. It's difficult because we closed it out then, but going back to the storage unit out on Billy Boulevard to try to find out all of the records, it wasn't, do you remember the total loan? It was
75.
Yeah. I guess my position is that at that point in time, the board in place accepted whatever payment was made and wrote off the rest, and we didn't take a guarantee or a note from the person or from the company. And I just think that, I would ask for your consideration in allowing us to give them a letter that, we have no further claim against that company. I just think that had we had a claim, we would have brought an action and then tried to enforce it at the time. I would assume that there either weren't guarantees by the borrowers at that time, or we would have gone after them. So it's just we had this before when there was a lien on an airplane that had been sold 3 times since we had provided a funding on it, and we did get it cleared up, but I didn't want to just do this on my own without, would you rather we?
I make a motion we approve it. It's too far back. Move on. Second.
And I think the real thing is at the time, there was a board, there was council, and if there were any opportunity, I don't think we're not setting a precedent that if you don't pay us, we don't come after you.
Right.
But at that time, someone made the decision that they had received everything that CEDC.
And they took a partial payment of some sort.
Yeah, there was a partial payment.
So there's a motion and a second to,
Release that.
Release it.
Yeah. I'm not gonna release anything. I think I'm just gonna say we have no claim against you.
okay,
So,
all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Carried.
What was the name of that company again?
Aero City, AEROCITY, and it was a tech company of some sort. I wasn't here.
And then they sold it to Wind Analytics. Some of you may remember that.
They sold to?
Wind Analytics.
It was like aerodynamic.
Okay. The last item I see here is junk.
Oh, yes. I'm asking the board for approval to write off that loan. The balance, outstanding balance is just under $4,000.
This is the loan client's sake.
Correct.
Discussion? Motion to approve it?
Make a motion.
Second?
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Carried. Okay, thank you, Martha.
And over nine years, we have written off $150,000. So, and the last couple of years was all under 10. Martha and Steve had the SBA here to do their annual audit and inspection of the records. Jeff Boyce from the Albany office was here for 5 or 6 hours. They give how far in advance do you get the list of the files? A week
5 days.
of what files he wants to see based on all of our SBA loans, and we thanks to Martha and Steve and Kat and Lisa who all work on the loan portfolio and its administration and servicing. We got great report, and no significant items were identified in his audit, and he had a picture with us and thanked us and went on his way. And probably didn't hurt that we were giving Jessica a send off with pizza and cake, and he got to enjoy the lunch. Anything else, Martha, on the audit?
That covers it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they reviewed 10 loan files. In the past, it was 3. 10 current ones, 10 closed, were paid in full ones, and they contacted 3 clients who received technical assistance to find out if they were satisfied with their.
Did they pick them randomly or did they do?
So in the past, they were chosen by Washington. Washington chose them, and then the Albany people would just tell us 5 days in advance which loan files were being chosen. And this year, I believe they allowed the people in Albany to choose the clients.
Kudos to them, thank you.
How many agencies like us does Albany serve?
4,
4.
including Pursuit.
Thank you. Last item under committees is workforce and education, and Ruth is here, Dr. Drummer is here. I don't think you have any meetings, but do you have any?
We have one on Thursday.
Okay,
I don't think so. We don't have anything to talk about, really.
okay.
But we're having coffee next week, so if we come up with anything, we'll give you a call. We'll hatch something.
We're back to Mike.
Well, thank you. We also had some other great news in the past month. I gave Jessica a little grief when she left because the last day she was here, we got notified that we had received the $300,000 microenterprise grant that she had been working on.
Oh.
And I said, you're like Senator Schumer, you hold it until you get benefit. I said, did they approve that last month? But, that's a great opportunity for us to serve business owners who are starting out with modest financial means. You can get up to a $25,000 grant. It can be packaged with, an SBA or a CEDC loan. And there are quite a few qualifications that we'll get out next month so that, if you know people who are looking to get into business. And one of them is that business can only have 5 employees, including the owner. And the owner has to meet some financial tests as to be eligible. But that was great news. And we also received the final notification yesterday from the Department of Financial Services that we can use the word bank in the Columbia County Land Bank, which ESD approved earlier in the month at their meeting. And, Chris Brown has been working on that diligently, and we'll give a short update in his report. Been a busy week, busy month with conferences and events. This week on Thursday, the chamber is having their legislative breakfast at the college. On Friday, James Hanish, the Economic Development Director in Greene County, and I are doing a roundtable discussion with Chris Nardone at New York Works at the college on the status of, they call it the state of the county. I was a little bit, probably wouldn't call it that next time because I don't know what the county administrator in Greene County or the chair of the Board of Supervisors in Columbia County think of we previously economic development state of the county, but was a little sensitized to that. Tomorrow, we have the housing forum. Chris has been working hard on that. Riley and Chris, do we have a head count of late?
We got 76 right now.
Yeah, last year we had about 140. I don't know if that means people think we're working on it and it's under control or, but it has been widely marketed and advertised. And so we're looking forward to that tomorrow. Chairman Morrell will do a welcome. And then Adam Bosch from Patterns for Progress and Darren Scott from the Office of Community Renewal and Chris and Mike Borges, the head of the New York Rural Housing Coalition. So we're able to get pretty top-notch speakers. Darren runs the upstate housing programs for New York State, Division of Housing and Community Renewal. We've all heard Adam speak at our breakfast and at the event with the Federal Reserve President. And we've also had other opportunities to work with Mike Borges from his group. On the solar field, you may have seen that the Hecate project received preliminary approval from the state. That's more for information for this group. The Board of Supervisors unanimously passed a resolution directing the county IDA not to provide them with any financial support without the consent of the town of Hillsdale. I assume Hillsdale will bring in Article 78, but the reality is that the way that state citing law is written, something will get approved there, and then the IDA is going to have to work with the town and with the Board of Supervisors as to how it might proceed. On broadband, I've been working with the towns of New Lebanon and Canaan and with the USDA. We're continuing down the path with the USDA where we've been having regular phone calls to get to the point where the town of Ghent will enter into an agreement with the USDA as the lead on the grant money that then Representative Delgado provided from his COVID allowance. It's $800,000, and it's we'll take another 250 addresses off the list, and that brings us down to about 500. It's going to be interesting because those last 500, there's a reason they're not served. And one of the addresses on the USDA list that we actually took off was $35,000 for a single address.
Wow.
And that was to your driveway. That wasn't, up to your house. So as we are waiting, the state did send out their draft plan for the federal money. The feds did not allocate to New York the amount of money that the state broadband office feels is necessary to complete broadband statewide. They're working on that through other channels. The process will be that the state will submit their plan by the end of this year. The feds will review it and send it back. If the state accepts the changes that are proposed by the feds, then they will then go out to contract for providers to provide the service, and the money will probably flow in the third quarter of next year. So we have gotten it down from 3,500 unserved addresses out of the 25,000 addresses in the county over the last 5 years, but these last 500 are going to be tough. Chris will give an update on housing in a moment. We understand that the J.L. Edwards School the school district has a proposed offer to purchase it, and the school board is in the process of reviewing it. It would be for community space and housing, and it's a national developer out of Philadelphia. The Wick Hotel is still under contract for sale. And when that occurs, we expect to get paid off on the loan that we had provided them to tear down a portion of the CAS building, because at the last minute, Marriott wasn't going to give them the flag as you were looking out at that piece of the CAS building. And that's what, about 40 grand now? Then the Elks Club housing project in Hudson for the hotel is finalizing its planning board and process. I think they're almost done, and they may come to the IDA at Hudson IDA in December. We have been working with K&R Development out of Westchester. They have an option to purchase Providence Hall and Skylar Court, which are two projects, Section 8 projects here in Hudson. There is some issues that we're working on with HUD. Everyone, there we go. There's some issues with HUD that have to be resolved before that can close, but that has to close in 2023. I guess nothing has to do anything, but if it doesn't, there's going to be significant ramifications because the existing HUD contracts expire on that date, and the tenants will then be charged market rent. And so there's political pressure to get that done this year, which will make up the $10,000 gap in administrative service fees with the IDA. today, this is happy Halloween, of course, and happy Veteran Small Business Week in Columbia County. Jessica and I were able to get we requested that the Board of Supervisors pass a resolution. It was passed. We did send out a e-blast about that this week. We also have been working with Chairman Morrell on the Columbia County Climate Forum. It's going to be on December 2nd at the college in the afternoon before you come to Winter Walk. It's a program where speakers have been identified and selected and confirmed on both sides of the climate issue. And so.
Are there two sides?
Cotton balls.
Very good.
And so if you're interested in seeing what people think the other side is,
Right.
come and talk to them. And we've been helping with some of the marketing and reaching out to some of the speakers. We had an inquiry from Habitat for Humanity. They received a $1.5 million grant from Speaker Hasty for housing. We may be coming back to you in the near term where they're asking if we would play some role in partnering with them to administer that grant.
What towns do they serve? I know Hudson, and then there was something Philmont.
This money would be only for
It
Hudson.
would be for Hudson.
Is that correct?
No, the 1.5 for Habitat?
Yeah.
Well, that's countywide.
Oh, okay.
That's countywide.
That's their entire jurisdiction. There's an additional $250,000 that was awarded to Hudson River Housing out of Dutchess County. And that money is earmarked specifically for activities in Hudson. So really the county got 1.75.
We did do our annual sponsorship of Winter Walk, and we also, I spoke with Sherman, and we discussed and are going to commit to being a sponsor for the 40th anniversary of the Chamber of Commerce next year at the $2,500 level. And finally, 708 State Street, Galvin is going to have a groundbreaking on Friday afternoon at 4 o'clock. I guess they don't follow media schedules too closely. But for their 75-unit housing project, which you can see Baxter already has its trailer here, and they've literally already broken ground, but they're going to have a formal ceremony if any of you are interested. So we've heard from Martha and Chris, did you have a brief housing update, please?
Yeah, and then can I tack on this brownfield at the end of it since they're related? Morning, everybody. So on housing, as Mike mentioned, tomorrow night, we've got, for tomorrow afternoon, we have what we're calling the second annual Columbia County Virtual Housing Forum. This builds off of last year's, which was last March. Really what we're going to do is take a look back at the recommendations from the Housing Forum last year, 3 of the 4, which have already been completed. And then we'll talk about what we've been doing in the year since, and also what we'll be looking forward to doing for the next year. As Mike mentioned, the land bank is moving forward, so that has been approved by Empire State Development, which was the big hurdle. That had to then go to Department of Financial Services due to that fairly Byzantine wrinkle where if you've got bank in your name, the State Department of Financial Services wants to know about it. The next thing is just filing our articles of incorporation with the State Department of State. That's usually a pretty quick turnaround, so we should get that done by the end of next week. And then we'll be an incorporated nonprofit in the state of New York and can start holding meetings and applying for the 501c3 status would be the next piece of that. We also just received an executed contract from Department of Homes and Community Renewal related to a grant that CEDC applied for on behalf of a community land trust, which is one of those pieces of the forum last year, one of the 4 recommendations that we've checked off. There's a community land trust being organized, are about to file bylaws that should happen in the next 2 weeks or so. It's being reviewed by attorneys. We won a fairly small grant, $20,000 from Homes and Community Renewal called the Community Controlled Affordable Housing. And that grant's going to be used for legal services and kind of organizational setup by the Community Land Trust. As Mike mentioned, Habitat won the 1.5 million and then the additional 250. So we've been having some conversations with Al Valencia, the executive director, about how that can be used, where it should be used, what role we'll play. And then another piece, so I do want to cycle back to this brownfield assessment grant. this ties together because some land banks across the state were actually created specifically to deal with brownfields. This is just a happy accident that there was a brownfield grant being worked on simultaneously with the land bank application. So last year, Greene County applied for this grant program. This is through the Environmental Protection Agency, and it's not for cleanup, it's an assessment grant. So it's basically to find out where are your brownfields in your region or in your communities, what are the extent of the brownfields, what can be done, what's the planning process for these. So the way this grant is structured, there's a lead applicant, which is going to be Greene County. Then you have to have two non-lead co-applicants. So the Hunter Foundation that operates throughout Greene County will be one of the co-leads or non-leads, excuse me, co-applicant non-lead, and we'll be the other. So most of the grant application work for this is already done. The deadline is November 13th, so a lot of legwork is done. If we win, that's when the real work happens. We figure out what our role is. We have to enter into a memo of agreement with both of the other nominees, or the nominee and the lead. So the three of us will work together to do the assessment work. And if you go through the packet, the only thing the funds can't be used related to brownfields is the actual cleanup. So this would basically be figuring out where they are. You can do initial assessments. They're called phase 1 ESAs, phase 1 environmental site assessments. And once you have a list, once you have an inventory of properties, then you can start pursuing grant funding to actually do the cleanup or the capping, depending on what the case may be. I happen to have had a lot of personal experience with brownfield remediation grants through land bank work and working with the city of Troy. So if we do get this grant, we'll be pretty well situated to actually go out and start taking a look at what potential brownfield sites actually are brownfields and which ones can be rehabilitated.
We've also gone out to the supervisors in Columbia County, asking them to quote, nominate sites in their towns. This really came to us because Greene County applied last year and their application was rejected. And when they did the debriefing on it, they said you should really have another municipal partner. And so they did come to us to be the Columbia County partner. And again, we have several sites. There's a site in Stockport, there's a New Lebanon, there's a site in the town of Claverick has the garage that's been so well discussed in the local media. And we have enough confidence and trust that our participation will be on an equal basis with Greene County. But again, you need one lead, it's a very complicated application process. And because they had done the grant the first time and were rejected, our feeling was that if you come back with a stronger application, they feel bad that they rejected you and you might have a better shot of getting the money as opposed to being a de novo lead application.
There is one actionable, it's asterisk, there is one actionable item. There's a document that Dave, that you need to sign. It's a letter of intent. It's part of the application.
But we need a vote to approve you're authorized to sign it.
Then I do want to, one actual additional piece of housing news, the employer survey has been circulated throughout the county. Riley, can you see about 1,200 emails?
Yes, it was like 1,400.
1,400, okay. On day one, we already had a 6% response rate, which doesn't sound like a lot. In the survey world, that's amazing. Usually 5% is a good survey. Anything above 30 is an amazing response rate. So we got 6% on day one. So I'm going through those today so I can report out on it tomorrow night at the housing survey. Thank you.
Thank you. So we need a motion to approve our entering into an agreement with Greene County and the brownfield, with the federal government brownfield program.
I'll make one.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Aye.
One last thing.
Carried.
I mentioned our lease. We moved here 5 years ago. It's approximately $40,000 a year now. It is up on August 31st. It does have a 5-year renewal option where it just continues to escalate at 3%. And I don't want to, play cat and mouse with our landlord as to what our plans are. I would like to recommend that we renew the lease in January when the first opportunity to open the option to.
What's the rough square footage?
2,500 square feet.
We'll make a motion.
Second. Mr. Chairman, I'll abstain from the vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Carried.
It's really given us a great visibility. This room has been used by a number of other partners, and where we were before was difficult because no one could see each other.
Yeah,
And,
we're paying the same rent over there too, right?
yeah, well, that was getting very expensive. They had a provision that once the lease was up, you're paying 10% a year increase. And they wouldn't talk to you about renegotiating. Where was the previous home? We were in the old administrative building for the cement company, going down 9.
Oh, okay.
Way off the road, no signs.
Wow, I'm trying to remember.
I never knew where it was.
Weird. You walked in, you walked through all kinds of.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, right.
Very small and cramped.
It was cozy.
Yeah.
That's cozy.
It took a little adjustment for all of us.
As
when we,
cozy as a
came
former
here.
cement plant can be.
The walls
It became a little bit, it took us a little while to adjust to actually being able to see each other on the workday, because everyone had their own.
Right.
I think we're doing really well. We're optimistic of finding, it'd be very difficult to find someone with Jessica's experience and background. She is going to continue to consult with us. We're looking at, 5 to 10 hours a month, as long as it doesn't obviously relate to any of the programs she's working for the state on. She is going to continue to represent CEDC on the workforce, county workforce board. And, I think that there's a great opportunity for her, both to get back into the state system, having been there so long, but also we had the great benefit of having her with us for the time that she was here. And we're hoping for we may have to push a surge of remarketing because the resumes we're getting, I'm surprised they're not as voluminous or as experienced. And with this AI Indeed and Monster, you're getting people from Peru, and it's not Peru, New York. You're getting people from Texas. You're getting people from all over. But the option of having either someone who is looking to gain experience in a motivated way is an opportunity as much as bringing someone in who has considerable experience. And Andy will recognize and appreciate until I say this, that I didn't mention that might be someone younger or older. I almost said that.
I think that wraps it up. Is there anyone from the public on, Dylan? Any board member want to add anything?
I do, please. This past Sunday, I was in front of our train station waiting to pick up a couple of friends from the train. And I looked across the street in front of Kitty's Caboose and I saw this cute little gift shop just opened up. And said, well, I had a few minutes, so I said, I'll go see what's in the gift shop. And I walked to the door and I said, I'd like to see your driver's license, please. And I said, okay, for a gift store. So I showed my driver's license, walked in, it was a cannabis store. No problem, not any judgments, but it was, it was a cannabis store. And increasingly, cannabis is having a major impact. Obviously, we all know economic development in many areas of our country is going to happen in our state and certainly in our county. And I have not yet heard any county person or proposal or program to deal with cannabis. And it's becoming a little confusing for a lot of people, including myself. I own a retail commercial space on Warren Street. I've gotten so many calls from people as a place available for rent, and we rent it for cannabis. And I make the decision. I don't particularly want, personally, it's a different call, but I'm not making again any judgments. But it's burgeoning and it's happening, and it's happening without knowledge of people. And I've heard from other little communities what's going on. I know Hudson. I said I don't know what's happening in Hudson. I've not been told anything, but I know now we have 2 dispensaries that are open to the public. And what the impact of that is for the county in other communities, I'm not sure how it's functioning. And is there someone at the county level within the supervisors that are overseeing this or ahead of it that could come talk to us maybe, because it will have a major economic impact on this county. Is there someone?
My understanding is that you had to opt in, and the county, you could either opt in to be a place where it was produced, or you could opt in a place where it was, you could sell it. And the county hasn't opted in either, but we can revisit that with Board of Supervisors.
Would you please, because, I mean, just the amount of questions and curiosity, and I know, I mean, I have a friend who works in government in Massachusetts, and I have also a friend in Colorado that has been involved with it, and it has, you know, it had a big impact on the economic development of both places. And I'm curious as to what, you know, we're doing, if anything, or how we're overseeing it.
I think the issue is that the opting in or out is by town, by municipal level, so that the county doesn't have a lot to say about it. But in a county where the county is run by a board of supervisors,
Right.
you know, you at least could get a collective idea of what each of those towns' position is on it.
Well, the same, you know, with housing, the county did go after housing, which I applaud, you know, and they're overseeing that. But even like it's specifically in Hudson, which I have a more familiarity with, as you know, that I'm told, well, the city hall's been giving out approvals to do so and so and so and so. And I said, I don't know how that's done. So they called me, I have no idea, call the city hall. But there is a process in place that approvals are being put out for either, I guess, growing or retailing.
But I believe it's by town and city. I don't know if villages have equal opportunity to restrict it. I would guess they do. Okay, we'll get a little bit of
Thank you.
Anyone else?
trick or treat.
Motion to
I
adjourn.
said, yes, we have two.
Yeah.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved. Seconded.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
What it was like, kitty?
Yeah.